Hey everybody, my name is Alex Black. I run marketing for Grindr. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight to support the world premiere of All Man International Male Story. We're so excited to be able to support this work. And I know for some of you, Grindr is sponsoring a premiere about deep fakes and underwear called All Man. Might feel a little on the nose, but international male is such a crucial avenue for so many queer people to explore and discover their sexuality, much as Grindr is today, that we felt it was a perfect fit. We couldn't resist. So thrilled to be here and so impressed by how these filmmakers are able to kind of bring this iconic cultural touchstone to life in such a fun, sexy, and poignant way, and I'm sure you are too. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the film's directors, Bryan and Jesse, for Q&A. Thank you all, and happy Pride.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm not the directors, but here are the directors now. My name is Shannon Warner, and on behalf of the Tribeca programming team, thank you so much for staying for the Q&A for All Men, the International Male Story. We're so excited to have you here. So I want to briefly just give a moment for the film team to shout out some subjects in the audience.
Hi there.
Is it on?
Yeah. Okay. Peter Johns, producer, writer, executive producer of All Man, the International Male Story, and we have in the audience Gloria Tomita. And I know Brian Mazzini is here and John Coulter. Would you guys just stand up and say hi? And Neil Johnson. He did makeup and made people look good.
Well, wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to have a brief Q&A, and we're also going to take a few audience questions so at the 30. First of all, we of course just saw you were curating a long list of people telling us how much international male meant to them. But I would love to know what it meant to all of you and what your first experience with the catalog was.
Well, once upon a time in a small suburb, I was one of those many young queer boys who magically received this in the mailbox. And a few decades later, I was at a friend's office, and he was cleaning out his office, and he had been given 2 international mail catalogs as a joke present. And I picked them up from the recycling bin where he had placed them, and I held them close to my heart, and I said, "Oh my God, international mail." It showed me this whole world beyond the world I lived in, and it was so magical and important to me. And I said, "Oh, Brian, why don't we make a funny, short, like 3-minute film about what it meant to gay men?" And 6 years later, this is what happened.
And I was actually a customer. My first purchase was a black fishnet tank top and a leopard leotard that I wore to the gym. Then I later became a journalist and a filmmaker. But when I met these guys who brought about 25 interviews with all the wonderful employees of International Mail, I said, we've got to get the founders because they've been very quiet and not shared their story. But I was able to meet with Gene and Gloria, and when I finally got a sense that Gene would do it because he wanted it to be an appreciation for the work he did selling to all men, not just the gay part of it was just an unintended thing that happened. But Gene and Gloria wanted to make great clothes for men. And Gloria said, when I think back to it, it's just like a fairy tale. And then Gene, who loves to sing, started singing Young at Heart, which is the song we used to end the film. So it's the Gene and Gloria, they created a family, and that's why I was interested in it.
I'm the outlier. I had no experience with this catalog at all. Jesse brought them to me. We were working on another film at the time, and he brought it to me, and I looked through these pages. It was an 80s catalog, and I was just floored by what I was seeing, because I still feel like you don't see clothes like that today, and those images and everything, and I was like, wow, what the heck is this? And, you know, we started talking with people, and very quickly realized that there was so much more to this than just a catalog that, you know, gay men found their identity with. It was a very important component, but it was actually amazing how this was resonated, you know, throughout society in general, in culture, and then that's where the door opened up with the movie.
I'm right there with you, Ryan. I had no idea what it was. I hadn't seen anything like that ever. It went from that to all throughout COVID, having hundreds of catalogs in my house, so I became intimately familiar about everything about the catalog, really.
So that's actually the next question. I know that this took so much archival work to do, so much work with the catalogs, but not only the catalogs, so many ads over the years, so much ad material. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the archival process and any fun surprises you might have found along the way.
That's a good question. I've got to give Taylor a lot of credit. She's the supervising producer. She was an intern 3 years ago, and she was the supervising producer of this documentary feature, and she did a lot of the archival retrieval. Because I like these films to have a seamless look where you think everything in the film was made for this film, but it actually comes from so many different sources. And I give you a lot of credit for that, and Bryan and Jesse for collecting so many of these damn catalogs.
Yeah, it was a mix of eBay, YouTube, personal albums that people dug out of their garages. It was definitely a group effort because we scoured the internet for any little trace of just some related ephemera, and we found it. But a lot of people started to message us, send us catalogs, help out, so it was really great to meet all those people who helped us. And I got to see, I mean, there's these entire YouTube channels of just old ads. And I would just message them and they would help me find what we needed. It was a lot of messaging and Googling just to find it all.
I think that archival is so important, as Peter was sort of alluding to, is just sort of grounding this in the larger sort of story of what's happening culturally, what's happening with men's bodies, with the way men were represented. And I think that's what made it such rich, important terrain to film.
I'll just quickly say one of the most important things to me when we were doing this film, conceptually when we were starting, was how do you bring static images to life? Because so many documentaries, so many stories are using moving images. You know, it's a visual medium, it's moving. And with the catalog, you know, there wasn't really that much material that was out there that was video or otherwise a film from that. And so initially, from the very outset, it was so important that how do you bring this catalog to life? So the motion graphics were really critical in feeling and placing people that felt like you're inside the world or you're part of the world or getting an idea of what that world might feel like and making it come to life in a way that wasn't quite animated, but that was still, you know, this finding this way to I don't know, for a better way of saying it, just to bring it to life for everybody. That was key. And you know, Megan, who was in charge of our graphics, I mean, her and a team of 3 other people under her guidance really did that, and she did phenomenal work. This was the biggest thing she'd ever done. It was really massive. And so much of the film was made up of that. So we spent huge amount of time and resources to do that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that because it turned into something pretty amazing. I was wondering if you have any audience questions.
Yes.
Up there, go ahead.
I'd be interested in the showing schedule and if there's any likelihood that this may be shown in U.S. Florida.
know Key West, Florida?
TBD, but
Yeah.
checking our social.
I mean, this is just the beginning, and we only have a couple of, like, the season is just starting and festivals. We have no idea where it's going to go beyond right now. Frame Line in San Francisco, Provincetown is coming up this week. We have 2 other screenings here. But I mean, it is slated to start playing in places. I just don't know exactly when or where yet.
Okay, put a plug in for Key West.
Will do. I want to go to Key West. That sounds great.
Any other festival programmers, find us after, please. Up here?
Hey, question. So, you talked a lot about the diversity in diversity in models and such. Were you able to get any of like the black models to speak, or were you able to get it to, especially Shamar Moore, since he's had a really thriving career as an international male?
Yes, we desperately wanted Shamar Moore to participate in this movie and went to great lengths trying to find a way to connect with Shamar Moore about this, because he did so much work for International Male, and he's such a well-known figure. I mean, that's why we try to feature him so much towards like the 90s and the later half. We were up against like the height of COVID when we were finally ramped up and we had, joined forces with Peter's team. And it just was unfortunately something that didn't materialize for us.
Another audience question by any chance? I have a question for you, Dan. Can you tell me what your favorite spread or cover right now is international now?
Yeah, I do love that parka. No, it's so hard. I think I'll answer that question this way. I think what was so, rather than identify a specific spread, what I think was so amazing about Gene, Gloria, and the whole team was that they created these fantasy worlds, and through the motion graphics and other things, they really wanted you, the advent of lifestyle marketing, of like putting you in there. And I think that's what I did as like a young queer person, is like I really put myself in there with like Brian Disney or whomever or David Knight. And I think like that the fact that I was able to do that was what was so powerful. And I just remembered what my favorite images. They're all, I don't know, they're like all sort of wrestling or stacked up on the scaffolding. Yeah, there's a moment someone's foot is on the other guy's head, and like it's just like this really weird collision of things that I wanted to get in the film. That's probably my favorite.
I think, well, for me, it's hard. It's that triad image.
Oh, the tribe.
Because it's just like the epitome to me of international male and this sort of Greek god thing. It's just the way that it was done in the photography, it just always struck. It almost became the poster. We were like back and forth about that image too. But yeah, I think what's amazing to me is that the photography really became like top notch, like you'd see in Vogue. It was really, really well done work. So, yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much